It's a little hot up here, so we got the fans running. So hopefully that won't be too loud for you. But now we got some people in here. So we will now get rolling. Hey, babe, are you ready?
I am ready.
In 3 hoagies, 2 hoagies, 1 hoagie. Hello, everybody. Happy National...
I'm always looking at this one first, but you tricked me. You tricked me.
Happy National Hoagie Day. Welcome to SIGLERinPLACE.
Hey,
we have
Nelson.
a grand show lined up for you today. We got some good stuff coming up. Let's see. We have hoagies, because we're always be eating on camera. No, wait, not yet. We got to get to the hoagie. We've got a small crypt update, not a big one. Tweet of the week. Empty set field trip we took this week. It was interesting.
It was interesting.
We got some junkie pet singular, Siglebrations, and junkie pick singular. We've got this week in Siglerism, headline of the week, 2 headlines of the week, and then we have questions. Of course, if you're not signed up for the newsletter, sign up for the newsletter. If you're not signed up for the text alerts, sign up for text alerts. But I got a feeling everybody watching this who wants to sign up for the text alerts is signed up.
Exactly.
But if you're not, you want to get 10% off when we launch a new store, send SIGTEXT to 855-955-5095. What's up, Scott Pond? How are you?
And Akil, nice to see you.
All right, now let's get rid of that. And first of all, since we always got to be eating on camera, it's International Hoagie Day. Let's not waste any time. Let's get to the hoagie.
I tried to pull it out.
Okay, excuse her while she whips this out.
This is your giant hoagie.
Oh, yeah.
We're not
what's
eating
up?
this whole thing on camera.
No, I'll always be eating on camera. Let's take a look at mine
This is-
first. I'm over here.
My
Boop. What did I get again? The Cajun?
some kind of Cajun chicken hotness.
Firehouse subs.
Christine, we are
Whoa,
fine in
well,
San
that's-
Diego.
That's
Did
not
that
very
not work?
dramatic. It's got a wrapper on it.
Well, that's so that it doesn't spill.
I know, but I didn't realize this. I assumed like doves would fly out of the pile. Here you
And
go.
music. I don't have a spicy sub because I'm
This
not.
looks terrible on camera, but it looks better in person.
And I
Let's give
bet
a
it looks good in your mouth.
Oh my god, this thing is such a
Yeah, we might take a
such a
bite.
giant mess. Hold on, guys.
Oh my goodness. How's your hot hoagie?
Girthy hoagie is good in my mouth. Thank you.
I think I might wait since that's a giant hoagie.
So, gotta do some trickery here. 'cause it's
Squeaky's
a
right
little-
down there like, I would like to have some of that hoagie, please.
They're delivery hoagies, so they are. What happened to the damn napkins I had?
I think you, I don't know.
Thanks. So I got to put a napkin under the hoagie. I know, very exciting television. Hold on, here we go.
Nothing says live streaming like always be eating on camera.
How? Rest it.
Hey, Don Lashinsky.
If you guys did get a
see you.
hoagie, take a picture, send it to info@apset.com. We'll show it next week. We do have one
We do
hoagie
have one
picture
hoagie
to show off.
which is chef's kiss.
I got the Cajun chicken. What'd you get, babe?
I just got like a chicken sub because I can't handle the heat.
Can't handle the heat. All right, let's go to Crypt
Hey,
Update.
my mom is in the chat.
Oh,
My
Zippy's
mom had a
in the
big
chat
day
room.
yesterday. She had a little couple procedures done, but she's in the chat. I'm glad.
Put this down here, babe.
I'm glad. Nice to see you out there, Zippy.
Zip, you're just in time for a Crypt Update. A book that Zip gave a rousing review of, saying, well, this is a little boring.
Yeah. Okay. Can I tell that very quickly?
Very quickly.
Recently, we went and we celebrated my dad's birthday with my folks, and we were out to dinner. And the first thing my mom says when she sees Scott is, "I'm rereading The Crypt," and I have to say it's a little boring. And what she was actually reading was a print copy of the Cruise stories from way back in the day. And I was like, okay. And she's like, nothing happens. I'm like, yeah, that's sort of the point of the Cruise stories.
That was the point. That was the point.
But no,
Good evening, Kraken. And now we're back to the Crypt. So I told you guys I had tons of problems with the Microsoft Word issue. That is somewhat figured out. So what I have to do now, since there's many edits, I had to figure out how to do you have to go into draft mode so you can see the deleted spaces around M dashes. Then you have to highlight all that, turn off track changes, do an advanced find and replace all those, turn track changes back on. I still have the manuscript split into 2 documents because it's just too swollen and turgid to do it in one. It bogs down the machinery of Microsoft Word and causes a lot of delays. And then I go through and I have to approve all of Kayleen, the editor's edits. I do that in draft mode. And then because I podcast for you guys, I also listen to everything I put out. So I highlight the text. I use text-to-speech in Microsoft Word so I can play it and listen to it, which is different than me reading it out loud. And I have to switch back into print mode to do that. Otherwise, it reads me all of the corrections and the edits. But far fewer spinning wheels this time. It's still causing some problems, but so hopefully we're going. We're still not a quarter of the way through. I'm on 2 weeks now, and I'm not even a quarter of the way through the edits, like not editing, reviewing, approving or declining her edits, and then changing stuff myself. So it's been an extremely frustrating process. It's really slowed things down. I don't see any way to be done with this in the next 2 weeks. I thought this would be, a 10-day process,
edit, yeah.
2 weeks at most. It could wind up, this could easily go on for 2 months. It's just, there's so many edits in the thing that it's very difficult to work with that program. That's why I use Scrivener all the time. So let's talk about our field trip.
Oh my goodness, you guys. So I'll start by saying we had a company in San Diego reach out and say, and we're not going to talk about who it is, but reach out and ask if Scott would come and speak there. They were having some sort of a managers development, something like a corporate retreat. And they reached out and said, would he come talk about audience engagement? And we sorted that out and we went. And Scott does this now and again. He gets these requests for not fan conventions, but as a business person, as a creative, things like that. He's spoken at O'Reilly in New York. He's done a handful of writers conferences and stuff like that. We talked about Mendocino in 2019. This was similar to that, a corporate gig. He was going to go in, talk about audience retention, how the junkies became the junkies, things like that. All well and good. We go, we show up, everything's fine. It's exactly that. They are lovely, creative, really. Yeah, it was a super fun time. They were really invested. They were creative human beings. It's a terrific company. And then we had lunch afterwards, and they had sent us the menu beforehand, so we got to pick out what we wanted. And then everybody just grabbed their own plate, and we went out and sat with whoever. And I got to talk to some of those folks, and Scott got to talk to other people. And then, as normally happens when you go to a corporate function as a speaker, what happens, Scott?
They were taking headshots throughout the whole thing. So they had a photographer. Her name was, wait a minute, what was it? Oh, Mariola.
Mariola.
And Mariola was like a Marine Corps photographer who took no shit from anybody at any moment. And we thought she was part of the company. And she's just like barking out orders in this thick, what kind of accent would you say?
She was either Spanish or Italian.
So this thick Spanish-ish accent. And the whole company doesn't know what to do. So people, it's such a pro operation. People from the company have to stand on a wobbly wooden chair and hold up a big white thing to block the sun.
No, Mariola made them do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She shows up by herself.
You stand up on chair. Stand up on. She's now Russian. Stand on chair. Hold thing overhead. No sunlight. No sunlight.
And so she was holding a sunscreen, which is intentionally that to cut any sharp shadow or whatever. And everybody, after they got their photo taken, got up on the chair to hold it for the next guy. And then we had our headshots taken.
Yeah. So A and I do a lot of nonverbal communication. We do these things because I don't have a very good memory, and if I'm talking, to the primary person who brought us in, and A's talking to everybody else, in this situation, they were talking to us about some of our various properties, and so I was having like a creative discussion, and A was having a business discussion. So when we do these, I tend, if I don't know what to do, I look to A because A usually better understands the combat zone, if you will. So did you take a picture of it?
No, I was just going to show them what I do normally. I have a program called Big on my phone.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
That's during the presentation. So A, if I missed up in the presentation, go and show them.
I have this app called Big where you type in something and then you can hold it up, and it's a little bit like that he can see from 10 feet away. And we've talked about our digital pension before, but if you have questions about that, let us know.
That's during the presentation. This is after the presentation, the schmoozing part. They start taking pictures, and people are going in and changing clothes and coming out. It's a very laid-back company, so people are in like T-shirts and shorts and come back with like a button down. They're putting their ponytails in nice tight, whatever you got. They're hair in nice tight ponytails, and one guy gets this guy that we were talking to starts to make jokes about the shoot, and he goes, "Oh, Mariola, do you want my smolder?" And she goes, No, I don't want you. Get on the chair. And she starts barking orders, guy. And he's like, I guess that wasn't funny. And I start laughing because I'm so uncomfortable. I don't know what to do. And I'm with A at this time. And I just kind of hide my face in the center of her back. And I'm shaking with laughter. I don't know why we're out there in the first place.
And then it's my turn to get my headshots taken. And I'm like, no. And she's like, get And so I look at the owners of the company and they're like, go ahead. So we go and I stand there
We're
and
expecting the owners of the company to say, oh, no, they're our guests. Maybe we work for them now. We're not entirely
maybe
sure.
we'll be, who knows? If we show up on the website, we'll let you know.
Oh, that'd be...
But so what happens is I'm in the hot seat and there's the gentleman who is the director of an entire division at this company who I ate lunch with. And he's standing on the chair with the screen and she says, oh, long hair, we must wait for no weather. What she means is no wind, of course, but no weather.
Dude, I held that up for you, didn't I?
Did you?
Okay.
No. I think Justin did. You held it up for the next guy, right? So I'm standing there, and here are her instructions to every single person who is taking a headshot, including me. So you're going to stick your chin out, not up, out.
No, not down, out.
Yeah,
not down. No.
Stay. You can do the commentary that she did. So so here's the instructions.
Stick
your chin forward.
Turn.
No,
turn
hang on. Stick your chin forward. Many people do this. And what does she say then?
She says, no, I don't
no,
know.
not up. No, not up. Down. And so then you do this. And she says, up a little.
No, not down. No.
And then chin out, a tiny bit down. Then you're supposed to point your nose into her lens, look with your eyes at her forehead, and lean on your on your front foot. And then, first you had your hands down, and then she'd say, cross your arms, and then she'd say, turn. And she did it to everybody, and she didn't want to have to repeat herself, so she also repeated 17 times.
I got this. She's doing this. She's here. We are under the awning at a table here, and I'm talking to the head guy of the company. And she starts shushing the director of the company. Be quiet. I don't want to say this many times. Everyone listen to me now. You will all listen to me now. And getting louder. You will all listen to me now. And so everybody's just, it was pretty crazy. Then I wind up holding the big white thing. I'm the guest. I didn't sign a waiver or anything. I'm on this rickety wooden chair.
It's definitely a rickety chair, too. It's like they were like, we need something to stand on. And the golf course we were at where they were having this big meeting brought them out this rickety chair. So we're standing on it. And everybody who gets off the chair also says, okay, don't stand in the middle. I don't think that's stable. Just stand on the edges, kind of.
There's a lot of sub-talk going on. Like, don't sit in the middle of the chair and don't piss her off.
But I'm in a dress. Several of the other women who were there were in a dress. It was a little bit random, but my favorite thing is at one point,
hey, Benice.
I don't think it was Scott but somebody said oh, no, it was me. I said, so is she a staff member? And somebody said no.
And A says it real quiet, and Mariola, who's 10 feet away, does this.
Are you talking? Oh.
Are you talking about me? I don't care if you are. Are you talking about me? And I'm like, hey, don't answer that question. She's got a gun in the bag. There's a gun in the bag.
Actively was saying when she turned to say that to me, I was saying because if she isn't, she should be. She gets shit done.
So then I get up there, and it's extremely bright out. That's why somebody has to stand on the rickety chair and hold the sail that constantly, with the wind, is threatening to take us away. And I don't. When I'm in bright light, I can't open my eyes. I literally can't open my eyes. I'm like, I look high all the time. And she's like, and I'm like, I still don't know. This is what I said earlier. So I look at A, and A's like, doesn't say to not do it. So I assume this has been arranged and set up. So I'm standing there, trying to look author cool. And she's like, okay, now look at me here. Chin forward, not down. No! Chin out, no. And I'm like, I don't know if I should bust out a blue steel or what. So I'm like, and she's like, open your eyes. I'm like, they are open. I'm afraid. I'm afraid for my life at this point. I don't know what to do. And then since I'm also not good at smiling for the camera, she's like, smile. And I'm like, and she goes, ooh, so scary with your stare. And I'm like,
totally gamed it.
I'm like, lady, I got invited here. I did not volunteer for this hassle I'm getting from you. And then I tried to open my eyes, and now I'm like, what was that Anthony McDowell movie where they put the things on it? I'm Clockwork Orange. I'm like, trying to hold my eyes open. My eyes are starting to water because the sunlight. I'm just like, and I think I might have started making this noise. Chin down. It's just
nuts. We have no idea if we'll ever see these photos. photos, if we will be allowed to use these photos, if they will show up somewhere else. But nonetheless, it had already been an exceptional meeting and really fun to go to and a great talk, and they were very invested. And this just added a little bit of spice.
Yes.
A little bit of spice. It was fine.
Little bit of spice. All right, moving on. Let's go to...
Oh, my goodness. It's so good.
I can't find it. I'm
Okay.
trying to find
I don't know what you're looking for.
Let's see if I go to more. No. I'll do it manually. I'll do it live. Switch over here so I can see what the hell I'm doing. We have a tweet of the week.
Oh,
it's quite impressive.
Excuse me.
Quite
Stupid
impressive.
Hoagie week.
Here we go. Tweet of the week is not that one. Here we go. Yay! A brand new Kraken's tattoo.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'll switch. I'm here. I'll see if I can zoom in on that a little
Holy
bit.
cats.
And this is the
Sarah
woman who
Ellison.
has the Sclorno tattoo, which is quite awesome.
That's amazing. That is quite an athlete herself.
So there we go. Sarah's new tattoo. That is her take on the Ionath Kraken. And she may stand on board, I don't know, but still, it's a Kraken's tattoo. That counts, but she's already named in a book. So,
Trevor Owen, thank you so much. I also loved phalanx.
all right, back to Maine. That is the tweet of the week. How are we
That's
doing on
very,
time?
very cool. We're doing great on time.
Oh, let's go to this one. We're finally getting back into... No, I need to go, yep. And it is time for
Uh-oh.
This Week in Siglerism. This week in Siglerism. That's how John sounds. That's exactly how he sounds. The fun thing this week, John's got all this great stuff in here. September 14th, the reason we call it up, it is the 1-year anniversary of the release of The Stone Wolves, being released as an audiobook in the U.S., all kinds of other good stuff. Going back to 2020, I used to do the Sig Locktails for SIGLERinPLACE. We tried to do that for a while.
Back in the day when nobody
Oh
was
my
doing
gosh.
anything.
2017, we raised it $2,500 from you guys and matched it for Hurricane Harvey relief. What else we got going? We did Siglerfest stuff covering. So You Want to Be a Writer was released back in 2015. Dude, John just has so much information. All the way back to 2008, episode 32 of Nocturnal, first edition, which we repodcast not too long ago, but it is now gone. But I will say that if you go to Apple Podcast or Google Play or many other podcast funnels, what do you call them? Podcast aggregators.
Catchers, yeah.
Podcatchers. If you go on the podcatchers, search for Scott Sigler Nocturnal, you may be surprised to find that Nocturnal is there. That is the Phil Gigante version, serialized, unabridged, and soon to be ad supported. But right now there's no ads, so you can go get the whole thing. You just have to listen to my crazy intro every time. And that is the Stone anniversary. All right, go to books.
Is there, while we're talking, just in case while I'm talking you can find this, is there anywhere that you could get the tweet that you made last night of the dogs?
I had that. I'll call
Okay.
that up in a bit.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so remind me at the end if we can show that.
Okay.
Going to books, ladies and gentlemen. Now I got to get this up like this. I did mention the Stone Wolves, so we take a look at that. That is available at Amazon.com and Audible.com. How are we doing on reviews for the... Let's see, we've got 380 reviews. So if you have done the Stone Wolves, if you've read the Stone Wolves, excuse me, I didn't mean to get nasty. If you have read the Stone Wolves or listened to Stone Wolves, swing over to Audible.com if you have an account, leave a review. Always leave reviews at Amazon for ebooks, for print books, at Goodreads, pretty much anywhere you interact with books. If you like my stuff, leave reviews. That stuff helps us quite a lot.
In fact, yesterday when we were at that meeting, we found out part of the reason that Scott got invited, that they reached out to Scott, was somebody in the executive office, travels a lot, was looking at his recommended on Audible, saw Earthcore, saw it had a ton of reviews,
Yep.
clicked on it, read the thing and thought, yeah, I think I'll give this a try. I can return it if I don't like it. And he said within an hour, which is definitely the first 4 chapters, as Scott always used to say, he was like, it's very cinematic, it's got horror, it's got intrigue, it's got that crazy operative, and I'm not going to spoil who that is, but a lot of you guys know. It helps so much. It's super important.
Another thing that helps is if you have time, jot this down in your planner, swing over to audible.com, look for Earthcore, go to scottsigler.com/Earthcore, click through to Audible, And you know what? Vote up some of these. Vote up the 5-star reviews, because the thing is, when people leave a bad review, I get this a lot. They get so mad that they then go through and like all they mark helpful for the other bad reviews to try and bump them up higher, because they not only don't like the book, they go to look at the reviews and get super pissed that the top 10 reviews are all 5-star reviews. So they will go through the whole thing and upvote all of these. Oh, so poorly written. Thank you, Christopher. So it really helps if you go through these. Like, it takes like 5-10 minutes. You just go through, and I think I've responded to all these. But you just click helpful on the ones that are like these 5 stars.
Hey,
go through and click
White.
helpful, drive those up higher, and that also helps us out a lot, because people don't like it, and for some reason that the reviews that are negative get the most traction from other people with negative reviews, because they're so angry. There could be 12,000 people who gave the book a 5-star review. It's fun. It's
It's
strange.
the internet. Yeah. You guys know how the internet
So
works.
swing over there and knock that out if you have time. Of course, Mount Fitzroy. We are now at 3,187 ratings. That's very
Awesome.
good. If you have read Mount Fitzroy or listened to Mount Fitzroy, again, just do all this in Audible once. Swing over and get all of them and knock them all out. And I think that is all I have to say about that. So we go back to Maine.
We are currently podcasting The Rookie. As you guys know, this is the original Naughty Words version. Similarly to Nocturnal, the original Nocturnal, which did we recently re-podcast? Yeah.
Yeah, we repodcast the original, my first one.
Both of these books will never be available for sale, and they will never be available for a digital download in any purchasable or given away free like our site, like we do with the curriculum guide outlet. The reason for that is we can't have confusion in the marketplace. If somebody goes to buy Nocturnal, they need to buy the copy of Nocturnal that is the one that was fully published by Random House. So they'll never be available. We're not going to put the Bad Words Rookie back in any kind of format that you could own it, because the GFL are YA books and they're Lexile rated. And if we do that, and a kid listens to one where there's a lot of F-bombs in school, that can get us in trouble, them in trouble, their teacher in trouble, all that jazz. We're not down for any of that. So if you want The Rookie, the Naughty Words version, this is your shot. While it's still all in the feed, pull it all down and keep it for yourself.
All right. What do we got going on now? We have headline of the week. All right. This we got only a few little things to look at from the dogs in question. Let's go to we do dogs first, babe? Empty set?
I thought headline of the week.
Oh, headline of the week, of course. The hot one. Let's go to headline of the week. We got 2 of them, so a little bit of discussion today. Headline of the week. Whoops. I did that wrong. Bummer. Well, that's okay. There we go. That's... At any rate, we'll get this set up and we're all set. Headline of the week. This is a couple weeks old now, but I saw it, thought it was real cool. Michelle Nichols' remains will go to explore strange new worlds. Of course, she played Uhura on Star Trek. And while she's not, her remains aren't going to Vulcan. They are being put on a Vulcan rocket to go into space. That's pretty darn...
I love it so much.
Pretty darn cool. She played Lieutenant Nyota Uhura in the original Star Trek series in the 1960s and in several of the franchise's feature films. If you are a child of the 80s, child of the 90s, you probably remember a lot of these movies. They were super fun, and we got to watch Shatner do what Shatner does, and then his wonderful supporting cast anchored his crazy, crazy performances. Yeah.
So since we're running a little bit early, we're doing really well on our script. Would you like to tell the junkies again the moment?
No, let's not. We told that recently.
Are you sure? Did we?
No, we'll talk about it right now then.
Okay. We don't have to. We can do the next
It's
headline.
too late. So we are at Comic-Con party thrown by Bill Prady, who is the producer of... Who was the producer of?
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. He's producer of Big Bang Theory, and he would throw this big fun pool party. And we were invited because A knows Bill Prady. I don't know Bill Prady. A knows Bill Prady. So I get to go as A's plus one to this fancy pants with lots of wonderful actors and creators and artists and makers. And we're there, and people were there. How many years ago, babe, you think?
This was 2019. The Uhura stuff.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, this is recent. It's 2019. We go, and everybody's getting pumped because there's a rumor that Shatner's going to come to the party. And that's a whole nother story. But we're talking to, as one does, having a chat with the director of King Kong. And we're sitting there having this lovely chat, and Lucky Yates was there as well. So we're meeting all these wonderful, fancy, famous people. and the door to get in is like over here, and I'm here, and A is facing me, so A can see, and it's open patio, but there's still a door and a security guard to get in, and so A starts to flip out, not flip out. She reaches down, grabs my leg, and she goes. Oh, I'm trying to remember how this went. She's tripping out, and I look over my shoulder, and it's Uhura. It's
Nichelle Nichols.
It's Nichelle Nichols, and when Shatner shows up, all the guys kind of wig out. All the guys are like, oh my God, it's Captain Kirk. That's amazing. When Uhura shows up, Nichelle Nichols shows up, most of the geeky women in the place were just like, oh my God, it's Uhura, and everybody's flipping out. And then she's coming in, and she's very old and delightful and has a couple of helpers. And A grabs my leg and says, help me be cool. Help me be cool. And about that loud.
And we're about 4 feet away from Nichelle Nichols.
And she's got the Vulcan death grip on my leg. And I have to be honest. I'd be like, I don't think we can help you be cool at this point. Maybe we can dial it down a notch. And then I'm like, go say hi. And she's like, I can't go say. I'm like, go say. I'm glad she did now. Go say hi. And A finally got to go over. And did you say hello to her?
I did. I actually have a photo. I'll find it and show it next week. She did a thing. You know, a lot of times celebrities have a thing that they'll do if you want to take a fan photo. And hers, of course, was always this. And so I have a photo, and you can totally see it. I am absolutely strung out. She's super cool, and Nichelle Nichols. And I'm like this. You know, like I'm insane. And yeah, it's totally true. Me screaming, help me be cool, had all three heads, Nichelle Nichols included, like turn and look at the insane woman. And he was like, I think that ship has sailed.
When Nichelle Nichols herself looks over and like, who is the redhead who's not being cool? Like, it's too late. It's too late at that point.
And we won't go over the whole thing, but the year before, Scott's told that story a bunch. We met Shatner also at that same party the year before, and Scott was uber cool on the outside. I was less so.
What I did wrong here.
I was far less so.
I am in the wrong place. Let me go back to, sorry guys, this headline of the week. And of course now the picture's out of, there we go. It's like nothing ever happened. Yeah. We do it live. We have another one that A want to talk about today. This happened actually today, headline of the week.
This is
Patagonia
insane.
Billionaire owner gives away company to fight climate crisis.
It's a $300 million company, I think, and it's 50 years old, and it makes about $100 million in sales a year. And this guy's always been a little bit sort of different, but obviously an outdoorsman, that stuff. But it is, for me, it's a great example of putting your money where your mouth is, no matter how much money you can put there.
Apparently, he feels very strongly about this because he said, I was in Forbes magazine listed as a billionaire, which really, really pissed me off. That's not something you often hear billionaires say. They like to brag about how much money they have all the time. But that's pretty cool. That's a headline of the week. So I like it. People founded this company. Built this company from, we built it from nothing, from the ground up. Your grandfather had a storefront in Brooklyn, just one, with one broken window, and look, we made it into Patagonia. Your grandfather now, it was a deli, but now it's Patagonia. So this is a fun headline. I tore my voice up doing that just
I know.
now.
I don't know why you Gilbert Gottfried did it out.
No, I'm trying to not do my Gilbert Gottfried. All right, that's headline of the week. You want to say anything else about this, babe?
No.
Then it is time for the best time of the week. It's time for
pup dates.
Pup dates. You got your pup date. Oh, I already have the big pup picture up. So we'll talk. We got close-ups of both dogs. Of course, on the bottom right is none other than Squeaks, who is an asshole, as many of you know.
That is my tiny asshole, yeah.
And on the left, we have Reese, who is tiny but regal. She's what, 20 pounds?
She's currently about 22 pounds, yeah.
22 pounds. Those are our pups. We only have one pup picture from you guys this week.
And it isn't even a pup.
But look what happened.
Hello, Dolly.
I gotta take a bite now.
So this is Robin Taylor's buddy Dolly. You guys have seen quite a goodly amount of pictures of her. She's terrific. It is Hoagie week, and Dolly got her own Hoagie.
Let me steal your napkin.
I love it.
Thanks.
I don't know what happened to all your napkins.
I don't know. They're probably around here somewhere. Sorry, always being on the camera. Let's go now to Junkies. And we have one junkie pick this week.
So actually, this is a Siglerbration, but it is since this photo was on the Facebooks, I felt like it might be okay to still talk about. So this is our good friend Scott Pond, as you guys know, and that's the Munchkin. They don't give their daughter's name live on the internets, but that's the Munchkin, and the Munchkin has had an enormously special thing happen this week. She was nominated by the school that she goes to be a rising star in the arts for the 22-23 school year. And she was nominated for her accomplishments and contributions in creative writing. And out of the 1,200 or so students that go to her school, only 4 or 5 get nominated to be a rising star in some of the creative arts. So there's also visual arts, there's stuff like that. But hers is for creative writing. They are primarily given to students who are the most likely to continue their artistic pursuits after high school. And it's an enormous accomplishment. Congratulations, Munchkin. What a great job. If you have had the great good pleasure of meeting the Munchkin, she's a spectacular human being. She's funny and she's smart and she can hold her own in a room full of junkies. And so I know this can only contribute to the success she'll have in the future. Congratulations.
Yeah, Chris McWhite, uphill both ways, always. Through 7 feet of snow. And also I had to shovel that whole path, 8-mile path to school, so that the nuns behind me could get to school. It's a lot of work.
Why were the nuns going to your school?
I don't know. They said shovel this walkway for these nuns, and I did. I'm not sure they were real nuns. I don't know what was happening. I don't remember a lot of high school, so I make some stories up. Let's see. Now that is Junkie Pig Celebrations, we are all ready to junkie questions.
Yeah. Well, you have to answer the question.
Oh no, celebrations. Other celebrations?
No, that's it. Those
okay.
were just the
all
two. Right. We did have a question about what the dogs sound like in our heads, and I thought that might be fun to do.
Okay.
Scott.
Quick question here from Carrie Kedetz. Are the Springers the snipes from the Great Snipe Hunt? The answer is no. No, they are not. Okay, go ahead.
So you just saw our 2 dogs. Actually, you could just call it the pup date pictures
Sure.
again. And we do have voices for our dogs. Reese, I'm going to let Scott do actually both of them because his voices are far better than mine. Reese's is very much like her personality, which is she's the sweetest dog in the world. She's the cutest, tiniest brown bear on earth. And she sounds like this.
Oh, hey guys, you want to hang out? I mean, we can go for a walk or not go for a walk. I like both. Either are good.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go?
Pups.
Oh, you guys, are we having treats? No? All right, well.
What about now? Can we have treats now?
That's all right then. I mean, if we did have treats, it'd be much cooler. Either way.
Right,
I mean, I would be pro-treat myself. But
so we, before Squeaky came along especially, and Reese and Scott lived together downtown in what used to be the Lair of Doom, and had a great bachelor life. She was sort of very, very sweetly passive-aggressive. I mean, Pops, you could carry me. That'd be better. I mean, I'm a little bit hot. I've been panting, but this is fine, too. And then Squeaky came along, and Squeaky...
Oh, Squeaky's a different breed. In our mind, Squeaky is like this. Mr. Man, I could not help but notice that you are smooching upon my mother yet again. Mr. Man, how many times do I have to tell you, Mr. Man, that she is mine? Mother is mine, Mr. Man. And one of these days you will go to sleep, and my tiny little incisors that gleam white in the moonlight will find your soft jugular, Mr. Man, and your blood will spill, and mother will be mine for all eternity.
So Squeaky is a little bit Greedock, a little bit Stewie from Family Guy. Yeah. She's that kind of like tiny evil overlord. And if you haven't heard... Squeaky is, without question, her favorite thing on earth is me.
Yeah.
And it took her maybe 5 years to love Scott as number 2. And then
People often call me number 2.
I think there are literally another 5 on the list of people that she'll tolerate. There was recently on Facebook, Scott posted a picture of Squeaky. I don't think it's the most recent one, but, it was for International Read a Book Day. And Squeaky was sitting on the chair with him, and he had a bunch of foreign edition books on the chair as well. And the goddamn dog sitter said, somebody commented Squeaky, something about Squeaky, and she said it's when Squeaky doesn't like anybody. So when Squeaky actually loves you, it's the most special feeling in the world. And that's true unless she's been trying to kiss your mouth and lick up your nose for 15 minutes, and then it's a little less special, but only a tiny bit.
Now, I've seen people in chat rooms saying that Squeaky sounds like Greedock with split head. They are close, but they are very different. Of course, Greedock the Split is, did you hear what he said to me? Quentin, I will have you... They both talk about torture a lot, to
They
be
do.
fair.
That is.
They both talk about torture.
Her personality is very Greedock, but her voice is a little more Stewie from Family Guy.
All right, and then let's see, as long as we got a little bit of time, I'll see if I can call up that picture, and cue me up a question, babe.
I've got a couple. Mike from Alaska is in the chat room.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he sent a handful. He said I could pick any one I wanted, but they're all good questions, and they're different types of Siglerverse questions, so I'm going to ask all three of them, I think.
Okay.
The first one is... Oh, there it is. That's...
Let's go to...
So before
gotta
we
go back
ask
to
these
books.
questions...
Books.
Would you read this script in the voices?
The script. Hey, I want to go to bed now. Okay. Go to hell. I'm already here, Reese. You go to hell. But I want... Go to hell, I said. I'll just, I'm just going to go ahead and lie down here, in this one open space that won't bother anybody. And then you guys can see Squeaks. And this, of course, I'm sitting to the right of this bed in front of Squeaky's head, and I was scooching Squeaky, and Reese just walks over me, gets on Squeaks, lays down on Squeaks, and Squeaks had eminent domain, and she will be damned if she's going to let that Russian dog take over her territory. She'll be damned.
She was not into it at all, but not giving up her seat.
Okay. Got a question.
From Mike. The first one is, how many iterations of the monster did you imagine for Ancestor and or Earth Core before settling on the final forms?
Okay, so that's two different questions. That's Ancestor and the Earth Core monster, right? Mm-hmm. The Ancestor monster, I had that one, I kind of sketched that out, obviously many, many years ago, and had a general idea of what I wanted that to look like. I saw, as I was studying the ancestors of mammals and was looking at Synapsida, there were some very cool looking creatures that long front arms had evolved, but long rear legs had not really evolved. They kind of evolved a little bit sloped with narrower hips as they were evolving from reptiles and seagoing creatures into Synapsida, which then eventually led to Mammalia. So I had that, and then the fin on the back. For a while I tried to play with the concept of a Dimetrodon, because that's actually synapsid. So Dimetrodon is an ancestor of mammals in a very long, very, very far back way. But the more I read on them, Dimetrodon, while the apex predator of the time, they were probably pretty slow. Like, you could fast walk away from a Dimetrodon. They'd just be like, boom, boom. And you think, how's a predator go this fast? Going to kill anything? It's because everything it chased walked this fast. The creatures were not built for speed at that time, at least as far as I read. So Ancestor I kind of figured out, and I knew I wanted to do the cow thing because I was, at that time, very bent on, I wanted a monster to go to moviedom and join the pantheon of monsters. Frankenstein, the Mummy, Dracula, Predator, Alien. Like, I wanted something that iconic. So that's what I did with Ancestor. With Earthcore, it's a little different because when I first wrote the book, the old thick version some of you have from iPublish, and then the version we put out with Dragon Moon Press, which was very similar. Those are very similar, basically the same manuscript, just edited a few times. I did not have the writing chops to be able to express what was in my head. And what was in my head was, I just remember sitting in an apartment, or not, I was a renter in a house with a guy named Bruce Crosswaite, and I was sitting in this chair and looking at, there's the TV and then there's the wall, and I wasn't on acid, swear to God. And I just kind of envisioned this thing oozing out of the wall and then, kind of growing tentacles, but not growing them, growing pseudopodia, so these aren't fixed things, and then just kind of walking around. And at the time, in my head, it was this yellow and brown kind of camouflage pattern, and larger than a man, but not too much bigger. So this real cool thing. And then I started to write it, and I couldn't figure out how to make that work. In the most recent version of, I think it's GFL Book 5, you can read it there. And of course, in Fitzroy and Earthcore, I was a better writer and was able to express that. And the colors came from a combination of studying up on cuttlefish. And if you guys have never seen YouTube clips on cuttlefish and how they can change their color, it's phenomenal. It's not just that they can change color and texture like some octopuses can. They actually can pulse patterns and do all these. They use their whole body to just hypnotize their prey, and then they shoot out those tentacles and they kill the shit out of it. So that one took a few iterations.
So catching up, we'll get back to Mike's questions as well, but we've got a few from the chat room. Carrie, who asked if the springers were snipes, says she's trying to figure out what they are.
They are, at this time, they are their own race. You only see the springers in the Generations trilogy, and I have no plans to bring them into the bigger SIGLERverse.
Yeah, Jason, it must have been too late before the script was done. The script is normally done by Wednesday morning. So if you mailed it today, definitely missed it, but I'll get it next week.
Get it next week. Not next week, the week after next, right?
No, next week, but not the week after next is how it will be.
I got you. Okay.
And let's see, I did dog voices. There's a couple in here. Mike, Scott often falls into a Yooper dialect now and then. He can't help it. And he was just very close to the UP, so maybe a little bit of Yooper dialect slipped in there.
With what?
I'm guessing...
with ancestor discussion?
No, it might have been in the dog voices.
Oh.
I'm scrolling back.
Well, yeah, let's swing over. I'll check through here. Let's check.
Yeah, this is easier. I just wasn't, scroll up a little bit. A little bit more question. Okay, so here's Jenna Leah asks, is Sleepy's Church the predecessor to the Purist Nations religion in the GFL? Spoiler alert, if all of this.
I would love to have worked that in there, but at this time I'll say no. But I'm not committing to that either.
So Neil, that's a great question, asked me specifically, if I were forced to live the rest of my life in one of Scott's stories, which would it be and why? And it's interesting because I think it would probably be Nocturnal, because I work really hard to be a good, outgoing, friendly person. I have had a handful of my friends say to me, like on a girls' weekend or whatever, like, you are so damn nice. Why you just talk to everybody? And I think part of me never wants to be a won't be. I don't want to... I want people to miss me when I'm not around. And I want to be a good enough friend and a good enough partner and a good enough family member that people anticipate seeing me. So then I get to live in San Francisco in a wild time, maybe date Pookie Chang, who knows, and then probably wouldn't be a won't be. So I think I would pick that. My favorite story of all time that Scott has written is Red Man. And that's when I read your question, I thought I would definitely meet a red. No, I would definitely not want to live in that world because Red Man, if you haven't read it, is about a wrongfully convicted person who has to live with a visible reminder of the wrongful conviction forever. And,
Neil,
so that would be bad.
Neil, I would take umbrage with your comment because you said, if you were forced to live the rest of your life in one of Scott's stories. What do you mean forced to? Well, everybody wants to live the rest of their short lives in one of my novels so that they can be assassinated or eaten or done something. You all want to go that way.
But
so
I think
true.
what he's saying is if I was forced to live in your novels, one of your stories, you obviously would have to be here writing new stories, so I couldn't be with you.
Oh, it's okay. Good recovery. See, Neil, she does this all the time. I have people dead to rights for being just wrong. And then she come in, well, I think it was more like this. And I'm like, oh, okay, you got to defend him. All right.
I miss you too, Jude. Another question from Mike. He says, I noticed that your cover art in other countries is different. What's that process? Do you have any artistic say, or is that the publisher's choice for that?
Well, by and large, the author doesn't have a say in covers, and that has been the historical record. When you're working with a big publisher, they're gonna put the cover they want to put on it. And it, as a side note, big publishing is very interesting. Like they'll sign a writer, put the writer through the process of making a great book. They'll put the person on tour, but that they don't want any insight on the business side of things. They don't want any insight on the cover. You just be a good little writer and go do what we tell you to do. I fought early and was very adamant about wanting control over the covers, or at least a lot of input on the covers. So some things I got to do, and like you could see as soon as I lost control of the covers, we got the cover for Pandemic, which just doesn't look anything like the rest of the series. We had a constant battle. I'm like, the covers for a trilogy or a series, they have to resemble it. You have to be able to put them face out on the shelf And the reader wants to sit back and look at those and go, those are cool covers. I like these. And they're all obviously from the same thing. Crown was very different. They thought Contagious was its own separate novel and Pandemic was its own separate novel. So that was weird. When it goes to foreign editions, though, you have absolutely no control whatsoever. And I believe the breakdown is because the foreign editions are by a different company. Mm-hmm. So they also have to pay to use that art. And I think what it is a combination of they don't want to pay a lot to use this art the American company made, and sometimes they want to get that business to their own in-house team or to their own freelancers. So you almost always get a completely different cover anywhere you go.
And there is also this, in some foreign markets, foreign books look a specific way. So if, say, it was written in English, which many, many books are translated to, obviously, French and Spanish and all that jazz. When we were in France in 2017, the foreign editions that were, their native language was English, they all tended to have, you can see them in the old Penguin reissue paperback books where they kind of had a big white block at the top and then a smaller amount of art at the bottom, so there could be information in that white block at the top, and they were very uniform, and that we saw quite a lot of in France. So it could also be not about the book or the author. It could be to indicate to the reader this was originally written in a different language and translated, or something like that, or this is not an originally French book or something like that. So we tend to see them but not have a lot of control over them. Let's see. Somebody said, asked about Siglerfest. Yep. And the answer is there will never be another Siglerfest in Las Vegas. There will never be another Vegas event of another kind that we host. We are very science-minded people, and I don't think that in the next handful of years that would be a thing that we want to risk being a super spreader event or anything like that. And you get a little crazy in Vegas and stay up a little late, and I don't think that that's probably going to happen. Is there a possibility that we might have an junkie meetup somewhere or around a con or something like that? I'll say it's possible. It is not going to be 2022. It's not going to be 2023. It's probably not going to be 2024.
Oh, right. We got any other questions
one
from the
more,
computer?
Yeah, I got a couple. I've got a ton, but the last one from Mike was, what did you think about Week 1 Monday Night Football?
Week 1 Monday Night Football was a blast. Danny Lundy has been posting anti-Denver, pro-Seattle memes all over the place. They're very funny. It was if you guys watch it, it's always great in Monday Night Football to have a very close game that comes down to the fourth quarter. So that was very fun. Watching Russell Wilson play for Denver was very fun. Watching Seattle's defense fly around as they always do, I enjoyed that. The end of the game was crazy. Going to kick the third longest field goal in NFL history in a stadium, by the way. In a stadium, I have found out, I think field goals over 60 yards in that stadium for some reason have like a 4% success rate. So the guys in Denver didn't do their homework. And the Denver coach, even though Denver moved heaven and earth to sign Russell Wilson, who is a well-known fourth quarter comeback king, behind only Matt Stafford in the past 10 years for the number of fourth quarter comebacks. It's 4th and 5. They literally need the one first down to be in field goal range to kick the field goal for the win. And the coach decides, instead of, here's this guy we paid all this money and gave up all these draft picks for, we're not going to give him the ball on 4th and 5, something he's well known for. We're going to give it to the kicker to kick the third longest field goal in NFL history. I felt it was a bad choice. I believe I said so at the time. I was like, what on earth are you doing? Mm-hmm. And they even had an opportunity because Seattle called a timeout right before the first kick, and he missed the first kick. So you've already got one sample set of the third longest field goal in history, and the guy missed it, and then he gets kicked again because he called timeout right before he kicks the ball. And so they deserve that loss. They outrushed, they just beat the crap out of Seattle. Stats-wise. And then they lost the game because they didn't let their player do the thing. There you go. That's our football rant for the night.
Although Week 1 in general was a little bit brutal in the Sigler house.
Not fun.
But, starting the season out only headed upward. And I think during Monday Night Football at one point, Scott was looking at his phone, looking at NFL.com or something like that. And he was like, hey, wait. The Jets aren't in last place in their division.
Correct. The Patriots are in last place due to point differential. I thought that was great. So props to all you Seattle fans. Props to any Philadelphia fans we have in the house who beat the Lions. Props to Ravens fans who beat the Jets. I thought Chris Grall's Jags were going to pull out a win, but it turned out they did not. They were way up when he looked. I'm like, sweet, he got a win? No. And Lions played pretty well. They did. They had a couple of problems. They had some drop passes. They absolutely ran the ball down Philadelphia's throat, and then in the first drive, and then just sort of stopped running the ball, which is that's a well-known fact in Detroit. If the run works very, very well for you, and you're beating the shit out of the other team with the run, second quarter, second half, that's when you start throwing. That makes a lot of sense to me. Let's go away from what's working. All right. So any more questions, babe?
I think we definitely have. If you guys have more questions in the chat room, say them. But a lot of people have been talking about their boosters. I will tell you, I am also all the vaxxed I can be. I got my flu shot and my new bivalent booster. The bivalent booster kind of kicked my butt a little bit. But just yesterday, the World Health Organization and the United Nations say that if you are in a country where there is an active polio outbreak, you should get a polio booster. And yesterday, the World Health Organization and the UN added the United States to the list of those countries. So if you live in the United States and are at all worried about being susceptible to that, I appreciate that most of us on this chat right now are young enough that we didn't experience people with polio. I have a couple of very good friends who's my one good friend's dad had polio.
You mean that disease that science completely eradicated and wiped out forever, and all people had to do was get vaccinated? That one? And it was gone, literally gone forever?
Yeah. So it's Somalia, I think, the Andor Islands, the United States.
I got to answer Robin's question when you're done.
France. There's a handful of countries, including the United States, that have active polio outbreaks. And if you live in a country where there's an active polio outbreak, it is advised that you get a booster for polio. Now, of course, the United States is gigantic. So if it hasn't been anywhere near you, you might want to consider that. But if you live in a major metropolitan city or you travel to a major metropolitan city, you should talk to your doctor.
Yeah, and Jason Brown, call your doctor on that one. You can probably Google that too. I don't know the exact answer. But Robin Taylor says, do male Sclorno drool when excited like females do? Robin, I'm afraid. Okay. You're going through a lot of changes. It's time we had the talk. The talk about Sclorno reproduction. You see, when a female Sclorno goes out and plays a sport like football, and a male Sclorno really, really likes her a whole lot, well, that he doesn't really know the person, but he is going to get aroused in a certain way. Now, I had to take this out of the book for the YA, but if you guys remember the original Rookie, there were, I think this is the book, I can't remember. This is my original vision. There were glass dividers like a hockey rink all the way around and up high, because when the male Sclorno saw the female Sclorno and would get all fired up, especially the athletic ones, they would throw their semen toward the female, which is how the Sclorno reproduce. It's love from a distance. So if a male Sclorno
would
really,
work
really
in
likes,
COVID times.
Male Sclorno really, really likes a female Sclorno, he just like Silence of the Lambs, just flings that stuff about, which is why female Sclorno are always dressed head to toe to prevent unwanted pregnancies. So that is how male Sclorno are a little bit different than female Sclorno.
Whew.
Yeah.
Hey, you did that really well for a family show. I'm very proud of you. Jason,
Robin says I'd rather have the drool.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff Edwards mentions that his partner just recovered from shingles, or just had shingles, and I hope she is recovered. I will tell you, anybody who's out there, because my doctor didn't tell me, when you turn 50 in the United States, you are eligible to go get your shingles vaccine. You don't need it before then, and you can't have it before then for some reason. But you get one, and then you get your second. You have to have 2 doses, and they have to be not more than 6 months apart, but not less than 2 months apart. And that's an important distinction, because if you go 7 months, you have to start over. And the shingles vaccine kicks your butt. You just do it once in your life, but it can kick your butt. It kicked both of our butts, the second one. The first one was fine, but the second one was a lot. So Talk to your doctors about whatever vaccines you need. This is the post-anti-vax world. This is what happens when, crunchy parents or whatever decide, like, I'm going to give my kid a natural protection or whatever. We do things like get polio and monkeypox and COVID and stuff like that.
You write a song called Polio's Back. I'm back. I'm polio. You thought me had me down, but you know what? Screw you, because I got an iron lung and you're gonna breathe your last in it. Big dumb dumb. I'm polio. Yeah, there you go. It's my polio song. Yes, Steve, you may cut that out and make a single out of polio.
And I will say, I have never met a person who's, one of my very good friends had it when she was 23 years old. One of our good friends and fellow junkies has had it twice, unfortunately. And that guy, he says this about it. He had it on the bottom of his foot. And he scratched so hard, like took his shoe off and like scratched it on asphalt and concrete. He took a hairbrush to it, all things like that, that it was raw and bleeding and still itchy. And he said this about back when I was getting my vaccines last year for shingles. He said this, let me explain it to you this way. Because I asked him, would the second one be bad? And he said, let me explain it to you this way. I would rather get a second shingles vaccine shot once a month for the rest of my life than ever have had or have to have shingles again. It was that bad and that absolutely difficult to live your life while you were dealing with it. So that was a huge motivator for me. And in case it would be for you too, that go get your shingle shots when it's time.
All right. So that is all the content we have for this week, guys. We're not going to run long today because I gotta get at my hoagie. Got to get at my get some hoagie work done here. It's killing me sitting here when I can't get at it. So let's go. All right. Ready, babe?
Are we leaving?
Do you see any other questions?
I don't. I have a bunch, but
we didn't get to those. All right.
No, that's okay. We'll get into those next week.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okie doke. So I will tell you guys that this next Wednesday there will be a Sigler in place. That is September 21st. On September 28th, we have plans, and there will be no Sigler in place. And we'll be back then at the beginning of October. And we didn't. I don't think I mentioned the junkie party at the top of the hour. But we will have an September 21st Wednesday Sigler in place, just like here. Nothing the second 2 Wednesdays from now, but then the following Saturday from that is October 1st, and our good friend Steve runs a happy hour, but now I'm not sure if Steve will be running that happy hour that Saturday, so we'll have to get back to you because Steve might have plans now that I say it out loud. So until then, let's see. If you have anything for Sigler in Place, a lot of you recently have sent in photos of things that you're proud of, your family, your friends, any celebrations. Lots of dog and cat pics and reptile pics have come in. I really appreciate that. If you have anything to do for us to share, to celebrate with you, send it to info@emptyset right here. info@emptyset.com. If you have questions for me, questions for Scott, info@emptyset.com. Best way to reach us.
Jason, if you've never heard of it, go to bit.ly/junkies party, and you can read up on that fun little event that happens every month. All right, we'll be back Wednesday, September 21st, which is in the audience, Stephen King's birthday, so we'll celebrate that. He's a friend of ours.
No, Stephen King.
Oh, the actual Stephen King's birthday.
Yeah, not our friend Stephen King.
It's actually Stephen King's birthday, you guys. So I'm going to get a big cake with a bunch of big old horn rim glasses on it, and I'm going to put some political tweets underneath it on the icing. It's going to be great. Going to love it.
Our friend and fellow junkie is February. His birthday's in February. Until then, though, as we just got through saying, we need you to stay safe.
We need you to stay smart.
And we absolutely need you to stay science.
And for the love of science, stay informed. Find out if you are vaccinated for polio. If you are not, go ahead and do that, because that is staying science, ladies and gentlemen. Let's switch back over to here. And I think that's it, guys. You guys have a great night.
We love you.
And we will talk to you all next week as I try to get over here. And then we're going to go like a little bit low. Try this one. We'll try this one time. Ready? Kiss off into the sky.